Barcelona Femení are one of Europe's elite teams in women's football, if not the greatest side we have ever seen in the women's game worldwide. But the financial issues of their men's team may see this team sold off and gutted. In the last decade, they've reached the UEFA Women's Champions League final 6 times, winning 3. Barcelona have also won the Spanish league title 6 consecutive times, going unbeaten in 3 of those seasons and collected numerous domestic trophies, which has seen them achieve the continental treble and quadruple. With their standards being so high, last season was actually dubbed their worst ever, despite winning a domestic quadruple, because they failed to get their 3rd consecutive Champions League title at the hands of Arsenal. And for the first time since the 2018-2019 season, they were defeated more than once in the league. Fans were braced for an aggressive transfer window that would see the team raise their standards even higher in a bid to reclaim their crown as European champions. However, their transfer activity has alarm bells ringing as the wider consequences of the financial problems affecting the men's team become more apparent and are now leaving the women's team in jeopardy. So why do Barcelona have financial issues? Well, let's go back to 2021 when the Barcelona president Joan Laporta announced that the club had debts of €1.35 billion. It's no secret that since then the club have been given additional spending restrictions from the league. They have consistently spent more than they are allowed to on wages, breaking La Liga's salary limit calculated for each club according to their income, and they have also breached UEFA rules. Pair this with high wages and the incomplete redevelopment of the Camp Nou stadium, it has been a struggle. To bring themselves in line with the rules, Barcelona need to raise more revenue and/or cut their wage bills, and fast. And they've tried to pull numerous economic levers, selling the club's digital businesses and 475 VIP seats at their yet-to-open new-look stadium. However, the €100 million from the sale of those VIP seats has so far not had the approval from auditors that La Liga says it must receive before it can be applied towards its calculation of Barca's salary limit, although this is expected to change in the upcoming weeks. The fact is, year in and year out, we hear reports that players cannot be registered due to the financial issues. Remember Dani Olmo last season? And the club continues to teeter on the brink of FFP problems, with the men's team giving the likes of Robert Lewandowski and Frenkie de Jong huge salaries, and now loanee Marcus Rashford. The Catalan club are reportedly paying all of the Manchester United players' wages, and in order to register the player in time for the beginning of the La Liga season, Barcelona board members agreed to emergency financial action that involved risking personal wealth to form a bank guarantee of €7 million. So how does this link to the women's team, and why are they being punished for the mistakes of the men's team? Well, La Liga's rules aren't helping the situation. Unlike the Premier League, where women's team expenditure is not part of profit and sustainability rules calculations, the financial regulations of the men's top flight in Spain take into account spending on the women's side and all of the club's sporting teams. Barcelona have basketball, handball, futsal and roller hockey teams. Barcelona are thought to have pushed for La Liga's rules to change, but for now, cutting women's team spending would help the overall spending cap. However, you do have to question how fair this decision is when, according to the club's 2023-2024 financial report, women's team expenditure was €16.7 million, compared with €439.8 million for the men. And the women's team actually brings in revenue for the club. So to sum it up, the women's team are being slashed and it's not really their fault. This summer, we've seen an exodus as 14 players have departed from the club. Fridolina Rolfo, who was a starter in their last Champions League final, has now joined Manchester United on a free transfer. Ingrid Engen joins Lyon. Former Manchester City goalkeeper Ellie Roebuck is now at Aston Villa. And 23-year-old Spanish defender Jana Fernandez joins London City Lionesses after winning 15 trophies with Barcelona. The club have made money from the departure of Fernandez, Bruna Vilamala, who joined Club America, and Martina Fernandez, who is now at Everton, but the club reportedly remain open to offers for other players as they attempt to make up for the deficit the club is carrying. The saddest part of the departures is that players like Rolfo and Roebuck actually agreed to terminate their contracts, with reports stating that Rolfo only left the club out of financial necessity regarding her salary rather than a sporting decision. The only incoming at the time of filming is Laia Alexandri, who arrives on a free from Manchester City. As it stands on Barcelona's website, they have only 17 players registered. For comparison, their English rivals Arsenal and Chelsea have 30 and 34 players respectively. Now, don't get me wrong, amongst those 17 players are some absolute ballers. They still possess formidable first-choice 11. 10 of the 15 Spain players that played in the Euro 2025 final are still at the club, including Aitana Bonmati and Alexia Putellas, who have won the past 4 Ballon d'Ors between them. And whilst these players look like they will remain for the new season, which starts at the time of filming in just over 1 week, several key players, including Putellas, goalkeeper Cata Coy, Ona Baye, Claudia Pina, Mapi Leon, Selma Parayuelo and Carolina Graham Hansen are out of contract next summer. So although frugal spending could help fund the renewal of deals in 2026, will they all really want to stick around? There are many reasons why departing the club could appeal to players. Much like the Men's La Liga, the Spanish Women's League is much less competitive than its English counterpart. Real Madrid are Barcelona's closest competitor domestically, but still finished 8 points behind Barcelona last season and were only properly founded in 2020, while third-place Atletico Madrid finished 26 points behind. In addition, Barcelona are not spending sums akin to clubs like Arsenal and Chelsea, who have both broken the women's transfer record this year, and there are reports of an unsettled feeling in the Barca dressing room. No key players have been sold, but they cannot go through the whole season with such a small group of players. It's an impossible task for 17 players to cope with Barcelona's workload, and should anyone get injured, it could be a real problem. Realistically, for clubs like Chelsea, Arsenal, Bayern Munich, Lyon, the race for the Champions League title could be blown wide open. Although the club made a big commitment in 2015 when it turned the women's team professional and has followed through with a decade of unprecedented continental success and domestic dominance, the message being sent at the moment is that women's football is not a priority and is being let down by the way the men's team's finances have been run.